From NBC News, this is a special report. Here's Savannah Guthrie and Hoda Kotb.
Good morning, everybody. We are following breaking news at this hour out of Russia, nearly 10 months after her arrest and incarceration there. WNBA star Brittney Griner is headed home.
Yeah, breaking and welcome news. Russia has agreed to a prisoner swap with the U.S. We're going to go straight to NBC's chief foreign affairs correspondent, Andrea Mitchell. She has these breaking details. Andrea, what can you tell us?
Good morning, Savannah and Hoda. Well, according to a senior administration official, Brittney Griner is free after 294 days in Russian captivity, the last month spent in one of Russia's notoriously harsh penal colonies. She was traded for Russian arms dealer Viktor Bout, who Vladimir Putin has been trying to get back, and who had served 11 years of a 25-year sentence in the U.S. President Biden signed off on the trade, even though it meant leaving another American businessman, Paul Whelan, behind bars in Russia. Over the weekend, Secretary of State Antony Blinken saying the U.S. has been actively engaged in discussions with Russia about a possible prisoner swap to free Brittney Griner and Paul Whelan.
We have to see if the engagements that we've had, the discussions that we have, produce an actual result.
Griner, the 32-year-old WNBA superstar, has spent nearly 10 months in Russian custody. Arrested at a Moscow airport in February, she admitted to bringing less than a gram of medicinal cannabis into the country, but said she never intended to break any law. Her plight sparked an outpouring from her family, teammates, and fans. Griner's wife, Sherelle.
I'm frustrated that my wife is not going to get justice. I know you all are frustrated too, that's why you're here.
Sentenced to 9 years in prison, Griner appealed, pleading for leniency from behind bars.
This has been a very traumatic experience, waiting for this day.
But she was denied. President Biden last month.
I'm telling you, I am determined to get her home and get her home safely, along with others, I might add.
The other American held by Russia will not be coming home. Paul Whelan, a former Marine, a businessman, detained 4 years ago, is serving a 16-year prison sentence after being accused of spying, which the U.S. strongly denies. Whelan's family later raised concerns about his safety, which I asked the Secretary of State about last week.
We're working to bring him home, to bring Brittney Griner home. But this is, again, what we see Russia doing in terms of abusing the very basic understandings that countries have had when it comes to having access to our citizens who are being detained.
Those familiar with these very hard negotiations say that the Russians absolutely refused to release Paul Whelan without getting a Russian spy in return. But the U.S. insists it does not have any Russian spies in U.S. custody. So the administration says it had no one to trade to meet that Russian demand. And again, the U.S. maintains that Paul Whelan is wrongfully detained. He's a businessman, not a spy. And just now, we also got a statement from the group that has been campaigning for all of these hostages to be released from all over the world, actually, saying Paul Whelan has been let down and left behind by at least 3 times by 2 American presidents. He deserves better from his government, and our campaign implores President Biden to urgently secure Paul's immediate return using all tools available. We understand the president will be speaking shortly or later this morning.
Yeah, Andrew, thank you very much. The breaking news, Brittney Griner has been freed. Paul Whelan left behind. Let's go to Chief White House Correspondent Peter Alexander at the White House. What's the word there, Peter?
Savannah, we do expect to hear from President Biden at 8:30, so 15 minutes from now. And we have just learned that Sherelle Griner, Brittney Griner's wife, is right now in the Oval Office here at the White House. She is behind closed doors with the president. The two of them were able to speak by phone earlier this morning with Brittney Griner after she was returned to U.S. custody. And then, as we understand it, Sherelle was able to have a private conversation with her wife, Brittney, from the president's study. But this concludes for the Griner family what has just been a very distressing situation over the course of the last 10 months. The president has said this was a top priority. He had exchanged a letter with Griner in the past, who wrote him over the summer saying that she was terrified she would be there forever in Russian custody. The good news this morning that the White House will certainly be celebrating today is the release of Brittney Griner. And again, to repeat, Sherelle Griner, the president's, is in the Oval Office with the president right now and had an opportunity to speak alongside the president with her wife just this morning. Savannah and Hoda.
All right, Peter Alexander, thank you so much. We're going to continue to keep a close eye on the story all morning long. We're going to bring you updates. And, of course, we'll have coverage on NBC Nightly News and all day on NBC News Now.
For now, many of our stations will return to the Today Show in New York. This is Savannah Guthrie and Hoda Kotb. Good day. 8:16.